What is going on, guys? Chip here. Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG video, where today I'm joined by a very special guest coming off of his third international championship victory. I'm joined by Tord Reklev from Norway. How's it going, Tord? How are you doing?
Hey, we just got home actually, so still pretty tired, still pretty sick, and yeah, just trying to rest up because it's regionals this weekend as well, so hooray!
Yeah, super busy weekend back-to-back here, European regionals and a US regionals this weekend, so I know a lot of people coming back from Australia are going to be trying to get over the jet lag, and I mean, I know personally whenever I travel for a tournament, I always come home a little sick, and I know you were like sick during the tournament, so I'm sure that's even worse, but thank you so much for taking time to come out and be on for a video. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
So we're going to talk about the Zoroark Gardevoir deck that you just used. This is, you know, the deck you used to win that third international title. First off, I guess I'll ask, like, how's it feel? Like, there's been 6 international championships, and you've won half of them. Like, what does that feel like?
It's pretty unbelievable, honestly, and it was never my goal even to begin with. I just show up to these tournaments and I try my best, and just try to play my best, and go for the best possible placement I can, and just happens to be lucky enough to win 3 of them, I guess.
It works out.
Yeah. Through all the tournaments, I had a lot of matches with very close calls, which could have gone either way. I was 1 card from losing a lot of them in all the tournaments. So a couple more the other way, and I wouldn't have won them. So just all the small margins adding up in my favor and creating this unbelievable run.
Yeah, unprecedented for sure. Like nothing else like this. The run is insane for sure. So I'm sure you got your eyes on Brazil next to make it 4 for 4 all around the continent, but or all around the world, excuse me. But we'll talk about that later. We'll move on now and talk about Zoroark Gardevoir, a super interesting deck. I know a small group of you guys from Europe decided to play the deck at the tournament. A lot of, I believe, 5 placements in day 2 of the tournament, if I'm not mistaken. So where did this deck come from? Who had the idea for the deck, and what led you guys to this final list?
So after Leipzig, which was 2 weeks before Australia, we almost all played Sauropod, which we still believe was and is the best deck, the most consistent deck, if that's what you're after. But we ran the Leipzig meta was a mill fiesta. It was so many mill decks. So we ran into a whole lot of them, and we didn't do too well, especially me. I got 91st place, which wasn't even points. It was pretty bad. One of my worst tournaments in many years. So you figure that we can't just simply take straight auto losses, since mill wasn't a thing before London, so it was fine. But now, since everyone wanted to counter the Zoroark Golisipod build, or all Zoroark builds, we decided that we had to change things up. So Philip and me started testing Zoroark Gardevoir almost at the same time. It was a natural choice if we wanted to beat Mill, and we still wanted to play Zoroark. So, like, the only Zoroark variant you could play, which still beat Mill, was the Gardevoir variant. Because then you had access to Gallade, then you had access to the GX attack to get your resources back. So you wanted to play like the same engine and play the Zoroark deck, but wanted to beat Mill, then we had to play this version. So we started to test it, and brought it to Australia, and it soon became one of our favorite decks as a choice. It was just really strong, and I posted on it on Facebook as well. You can cheat with the deck in a lot of different ways, but you can legally cheat. So you can pick random cards from a discard pile, remove damage counters, enhance damage pile. See that you have just all these options. And with the double Malum engine, it was very, very easy to get stage 2s on board as well. Normally you need to be kind of lucky to draw all your combo pieces in a regular stage 2 deck, but with the Zorak Malvention you could always flex your 3-4 card combo, Candy, Gardevoir, Energies, and just have very strong turns very early, which you normally can't. So yeah, that was the background of the deck, I think.
Whose idea was it to cut Kirlia from the deck? Like, 0 Kirlia. I think that was the first thing that stood out to me. It was like, there's no Kirlias, what is this?
Oh, that was mine, I think. Me and Philip tested kind of similar versions at the beginning, but we kind of differed after a while. He tested multiple Kirlias and 3 or 4 Evo Sodas as well. He tried to be super consistent while I tested all these tech cards, which we in the end ended up having to use. Just gave the deck a lot more depth.
Sure.
You could do a lot of stuff, and since you play the Malvention anyway, you could fish out everything whenever you need it. So every single tech card you could actually use up to 6 times in this deck, because you could play it 1 time normally from your hand, then puzzle it twice, and then GX attack the same card and 4 puzzle back in your deck, and use it even 3 more times. So, like, if you want to, you can play that hammer 6 times, discard 6 energies, which makes it just makes it insane.
Well, cool. Well, yeah, certainly a very unique deck, and obviously worked out with a lot of placements in day 2, and you know, a champion and a top 4 coming out of it as well. I'll ask also about the Giratina promo. Was that something that you guys included because you were scared of Greninja, or is that something you included because you wanted to be able to use trade when they used Wobbuffet Break against the mill decks?
It was both. That was the two decks we wanted to play it for.
Okay.
But like we chose this kind of greedy version because we didn't want any auto losses in mill. So it would be kind of almost stupid to take an auto loss to Greninja again, which is or has been much more popular than mill the last years. So if we erase one auto loss, we can't just step into another one so easily. So we play the Giratina just to just avoid having more auto losses again.
Nice. And
it has some niche uses in the mill matchup as well against the Wobbuffet Break. And I didn't face any mill or Greninja, but I did use the Giratina against Buswell and Volcanix. So whenever I saw it in my opening hand, I was like, yes, this is a great starter. This will be very hard to do anything about. So he can tank a lot of damage, which is pretty nice. And yeah, just give you some more time. So it wasn't too bad. It's an extra basic Pokemon for right speeding damage as well. So can't come in clutch. It was a fine card.
Yeah, we saw.
It didn't really matter too much. Yeah,
we saw Philip use it really effectively in top 8. To just like chill behind while his opponent was punching with a Buzzwole, and his Buzzwole did like 10 damage to it for 10 turns or something like that, and then he max push and healed all the damage. So has uses there for sure. The fighting resistance is probably nice.
That sounds very cool. I have to see that match.
Cool. All right, so now we're going to take a second and talk about day 1 of the tournament. I know you were pretty sick day 1. I heard, I think someone, Nico or Philip, someone tweeted that you had like considered dropping from the tournament day 1 because you just like felt so bad. But, you know, obviously you stuck it out, made it through, and so you want to talk about the tournament, you know, talk about like overcoming kind of the illness, the sickness that you were having, and, you know, some of your rounds from the day.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling very well day 1 at all, and actually I decided on playing the Gardevoir Zorak deck just 5-10 minutes before the tournament, because the deck is very hard to pilot. So I was very afraid of not being able to pilot it good enough to give the deck justice. So if I play the deck only half good, I could just as well just play Sauropod and which I knew even half dead I could play that deck pretty optimally, but I can do that with Guardy. I had a lot less games with it, and it was much harder to play as well. So many small plays you can do all the time, which can change the outcome of the game. So a friend told me that if you just make it through day one, Tord, if you make it through day one, you will have a much better deck day two, right? So if you just somehow manage to grind through your first day with this, you should be good. So I listened to that, and I choose the Gardevoir deck, the Gardevoir variant. But I regretted it a lot day one because I was such a struggle. I felt like I threw games left and right, and everything just was very hard. And I think there was like 3 or 4 games in a row which I had to end on turn 3 of time to actually squeeze the win, and all of them involved me hitting something on the last turn as well. So that could have gone either way, because I almost managed to use up too much time, or don't scoop when I had to, or just throw games, which made the score 1-1 instead of 2-0. So I had a really hard struggle through day one to make it through, but I ended up 6-1-1, actually. Somehow. A lot of them could have been ties or losses. A lot of them. Just tiny things going my way in the end there, which made the score seem much better than it actually was through the day. But the last round I settled for an ID, even though as a competitive player you shouldn't do that because you're already in, so you should try to grind more points for top 8. But I was just done with that day. I figured if I played, I would lose anyway. So that was one free point in my book. That was one free point. So
nice.
My opponent even offered it, so it was all good. Took the ID and went to sleep. The following day, I needed to go 3-1-1 to advance. So I started off the day playing against Bustrock, an Australian guy. Mm-hmm. I felt much better this day. And he whiffed all his max elixirs, every single one. Oh. I think he hit 1, but that was a turn where he whiffed hand attachment, so it didn't really matter too much. So it evened out. So I managed to win that game. Next game was against Pramot. That was streamed, so everyone can see that play by play. And next round again was against Jimmy Pendarvis, which played same 60 as Pram, I think. That was a really weird game. He rushed over me first game, but didn't get auxiliary set up. So I actually got like the sickest comeback where just Endim got some Guardia online and smashed a lot of prizes to make a comeback. And the first game took really long, so the series ended 1-0. But after that, I was actually 3-0, so I could just ID my last 2 and be in top 8 for sure.
Nice.
Which was crazy. But somehow it worked out. So day 2 I playing against 3 bus rocks and beat all 3. And then took 2 IDs.
And if I'm not, is that not a matchup that you guys were a little concerned about coming into the weekend, or did you feel pretty confident in it?
No, we didn't feel confident in it. I felt like we kinda wanted to just ignore it when we talked about it. It was like, it's fine. We tested it and we win like 50-50, right? It should be fine. Yeah, I know. I think it's kind of 50-50 matchup, but that's only if you pilot the Gardevoir deck very good. Sure. If you slip up or play suboptimally, you will lose like every time, and it will not be close. So sure. you have to pilot it very optimally, I feel like. So if I I played as I did day 1. On day 2 and day 3, I would definitely not have made it at all, because you can't do whatever in that matchup. You have to play very on point, and you have to draw pretty on point as well. You can't stumble in the early game, then Buzz will just run over you, knock out all your basics.
All right, so heading into top 8, what did you see you were up against, and like how were you feeling heading into top 8? Well, first off, I guess I should ask, like, this is your now 4th top 8 in internationals, which is also an insane accomplishment on its own, and then let alone the fact that you had previously won 2 other ones. But so making 4 top 8s, so that's like over 50% on internationals. These are just like, these tournaments are just meant for Tord, I guess.
I guess everything just goes my way when national pops up, it seems, or at least has done so far. Yeah, for top 8, I saw us up against the only guy playing fire in top 8.
That's right. Volcanian, the only deck that has made top 8 at every single international championship. It was just destined to get in once again.
Yes.
So is that a matchup you had like played against at all, or like had even thought about? I think Volcanian's kind of like fallen out of favor in the meta recently, at least in the US. I think the same as in Europe. Like, it hasn't been as played, at least recently. So is that something you guys even were really considering coming in?
Yes, we definitely considered we could play against it, for sure. The thing is, I like the matchup when I play my Golisipod Zork. But now I had a Gardevoir instead of Golisipod to smash down the fire things with. So I felt pretty confident going in, and he had one loss. That was against my Norwegian friend playing the same deck, Magnus. Mm-hmm. And he absolutely smashed him when they played. So I had high hopes of doing the same. But it didn't work out that way. I actually just barely won against him. He made it seem like hitting 230 was easy. He rolled pretty goddamn good. He hit what he needed to almost every round, but he stumbled some. So he had some attacks where he did like 190 or 220 to my either Zorak or Gardevoir, which was like 10 or 20 off. Mm-hmm. And when you just announced that damage, I was like, oh yes. All right, I can do this. So if he had gotten like one more fire or a band or in addition to everything else, and actually managed to take those big knockouts here and there, I could definitely have lost that game. So I just barely won game 1 because of that. Game 2, I drew my usual 2 basics pass, and I think he knocked me out in 3 turns or so, and got like turn 1 Kiavaho again and just rolled over me. It was a very quick game, maybe 2 minutes. Oh, wow, barely done shuffling before I had to reshuffle for the next game. But I started all turn game again, so I managed to win. I remember having one sick turn that changed the whole outcome of that game. Had a rolls on the bench, and with the help of a Mallow, I got my Candy, Gardevoir, Fairy, DZ, Band for knockout.
Oh wow!
Which was big, and he couldn't answer that right away. So the Gardevoir just took 4 prizes and basically won the game, which was big. I stumbled some in the early game, but as soon as I got that Gardevoir online, I managed to win. So that was pretty nice. Overall, the matchup should be very favored, but I think my stumbling and his very aggressive openings led to a very close series. So I felt kind of lucky getting through it, which was good. And the rest of the tournament now is best rocks, just top 4 best rock and final best rocks.
Yeah, I guess like heading into the top 8 in general, like you knew there was a decent amount of Buzz Rock. Is where you like and like a lot of really good players playing Buzz Rock as well. Is that something that like was a little nerve wracking? Where you're like, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna get this 3rd win. Like this bracket does not look very good for me. What were you thinking?
Again, the matchup isn't that bad, but you can't stumble. You just need your turn on bridge it, and I feel like if you get the stage 2 on your 2nd turn, you're actually favored in the matchup.
Sure.
If you can start hitting with it, like a turn to Guardi or a turn to Gallade, then you can really start rolling. And I got a lot of turn to stage 2s, so it all worked out in the end. But it's definitely scary for sure. You can easily get run over. It's and one misstep and the game is gone. But I guess that's count for both sides, and I was pretty lucky in both top 4 and the final, because both my opponents did some very horrible misplays, horrible energy attachments, and had some overall game plans I strongly disagree with. So I was definitely very lucky there. Sure. Hopefully they were nervous on stream or something. Sure. Was lucky to get through those. Watching them after and hearing people tell me what their hands were after, I felt lucky getting through that.
All right, so you want to walk us through that top 4 match?
Oh, I can't remember much of it. I can remember one key play. That was actually on my part. I think it was the first game, where I didn't play around the whole thing he almost had. So I need a Guzma for my next turn to win. I have a double puzzle in hand. I have 2 Guzmas in my discard pile. So I figured I'd just go double puzzle for 2 Guzmas and give myself the best odds for Guzma next turn and win. My opponent has 3 price left. There's no way he can get that, I thought. But I had 130 on the bench Gallade and 30 on the Zorark on the bench. But he couldn't bench Ragnarok and Buzzwole at the same time again, so I figured I was safe. But I actually wasn't, because this guy plays multi-switch. So he could actually have gotten Buzzwole, Band, Strong, Guzma, multi-switch. That's 5 card. He only had 4 card hand. So I was like, it's probably not worth it, right? Should just grab the second Guzma. What's the point? And then he slams down the whole combo on me, except the multi-switch, and starts throwing me to artillery. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. He don't get the multi-switch though. So and then I just have the Guzma in hand for next turn. Sure. But it was definitely scary, and if he had hit it, I would have lost the game. So if I just picked up 1 Guzma and 1 max potion instead, and just heal up the damage, there would be no way for him to do that play. And with 3 Zorark and Premonition on the field, I will most likely hit the Guzma even if he hand me.
Sure.
I think I don't even know if my deck was 12, 13 cards, which I could have looked at anyway. So should probably just went for the max potion. That was one of my big blunders I found later. That I wish I could fix if I played it again.
Sure. Well, that's part of like, that's why I love the fact that we get so many streamed games and stuff now. You get to look back and see places where you could have like maybe done things marginally better, even though like it ended up working out. Obviously, like you still looking back at it, like you said, would have probably changed your play, but it worked out. You got yourself the win in top 4 and find yourself in the finals of a 3rd internationals. Was it a little surreal heading into Sunday? I know there's like a break from Saturday to Sunday. And how did you spend that Saturday? Were you still kind of sick? Did you get rested? Did you get to celebrate a little bit with friends, get a nice dinner? Or did you just like take time and rest up?
Um, what did we do on Saturday? I didn't go to bed too early. I tried to rest up as much as possible.
Of
Just
course.
try to, yeah, do everything as slowly and yeah, as chill as I could. Just found the easiest way to get food and just lay down on the room. Stayed in an Airbnb with all of the all of the European guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like whole of Team Limitless and some Norwegian friends, and yeah, it was really cool. So yeah, and got the list, of course, so I could check what 60 cards he played,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, just looked over it and was prepared. I didn't play anything because it didn't really matter, but I got the 60 cards of his, so I was prepared for that. So
Nice.
I knew, so if I had to, I could count specific cards and use it against him.
Nice. Yeah, always good to know what your opponent is playing for sure, and that helps you make decisions later on in the games and stuff. So, all right. Well,
Yeah, definitely helps.
heading into the finals, you get there in the morning. You probably get to see juniors and seniors go, and then it's your turn up on stage again. You've been streamed 20 plus times probably the last few months, maybe more than that, honestly. I don't know, like between US internationals, worlds, and like even European internationals from the last year when you got top 4. So heading in, you've probably been pretty comfortable on stream, and I know that after doing the interview with Joe yesterday, it was actually his first time being on stream, so he said he didn't really have any stream jitters, but you definitely, I'm sure, were pretty comfortable up there because you've been up there so much recently.
Yeah, I don't really care of being put on stream anymore. I even started to like the white noise, just blocks out everything, so I'm maybe too accustomed to the stream now. But yeah, it doesn't bother me anymore.
All right, well, walk us through that finals match and how things went for you.
It's all kind of blurry. I remember getting a pretty good start the first game, and this was the game I noticed he misattached his energy horribly, which basically sealed the game. He attached his energy to a pseudo-voodoo instead of the buzz wall, and with a max elixir hit he could have gone for the GX attack and knock out my Gardevoir, and I would have no backup whatsoever to that. So it was either the first or the third game, can't quite remember.
It was the first, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a big deal. Should probably lose if he had gotten a max elixir and hit it, and since he played the max elixir the same turn and hit it anyway, it was probably game losing.
Sure.
So very lucky for me there.
Yeah, I know that's one thing that Joe even pointed out when I talked to him yesterday, that he recognized that was a mistake, and he realized it as he was shuffling after the max elixir. He said, "I can't believe I just put that energy on the pseudo window." He said he went ahead with his play and then just scooped up the next turn because he couldn't believe he did that and just threw the game away. But
yeah, that was definitely very very lucky on my part.
Mm-hmm.
So when he didn't get anything done on that turn, the game was basically over, and I could just sit there and control the rest of it. And he realized it, and yeah, just packed up his cards. It was, yeah, I think that was the best thing to do. I didn't see any way for him to come back there.
Yeah,
it'd be highly unlikely with the setup I already had on board. Dollar Shades and Premonition, and the attacker's ready. So definitely a good call there. The second game was not too interesting on my part. I got a complete dead hand. Like, it could absolutely do nothing. I didn't sometimes you whiff Bridget and you're kind of sad, but sometimes you don't even have a supporter to draw into the Bridget on the next turn again. So I opened 2 rolls, had absolutely nothing. I got a top deck, and that was Sora. I was like, all right, if this guy can lay one turn, I have a Zorak in hand, so then I can draw out of it. But unfortunately, I'm playing against Buzzwole, so that's not happening at all, ever. And sure enough, the Sora got knocked out, and yeah, I didn't got to do too much. I think I thought I could bridge it at that point, but he was 3 or 4 prices ahead before I started evolving my things. And he had all 4 Guzmas left as well, and artillery, and energy on 2 attackers already. So, in addition to that, I couldn't find an energy to start poking away at his things. And I think I maybe pressed my max portion as well. So I couldn't really do much poking either. I had to do like very awkward poking where I just put up Lele, and next turn I will try to hit double energies so I could retreat again and poke with something fresh, and then maybe I'm able to get around it somehow. But that would include him missing Guzma for 3 or 4 turns straight, I think. So it's likely not happening, and he got his Guzma after 2 turns or so. So yeah. Game was over then. But it was possible. It just needed to not draw anything. So that's why I didn't scoop the game, because it was still actually possible. And we had enough time. He was kind enough to scoop the first game early enough for me to see how the second game went. So yeah, the last game, I put down my prices, and I just hear a lot of noise outside the headset, because you can't hear what's being said, but you can hear a lot of noise. So when I put down my prices, I heard some screaming from the commentators and the crowd. I'm like, oh no, this is not good. I kind of knew the Mew, at least the Mew was priced before I checked through my deck, and sure enough, it was priced. It was priced together with my max potion, which made it even worse.
2 pretty crucial cards against Buzzwole.
Yeah. Yes, because then I can't even tank with Gardevoir, because I can't heal it. So it was just horrible prices. And it wasn't even the first 2. Any of them were in the first 2. Mew was on the top, and max potion was in the middle. And when I drew the max potion, it didn't matter anymore. just needed the Mew. So definitely a rough game from the start, but looking at it from the other perspective, like the recap, I think he had a Rockruff priced, and I managed to snipe his only one. So that was actually even worse for him again, if you compare the two, than me having Mew priced. But his whole field that game, that was the sad thing, was only Buzzwoles. So if my Mew wasn't priced, Mew would just tear right through, and the game would be over in like 3 turns. Because with no Lysanroc backup, Mew could just go straight ahead and just win the whole game. If he somehow managed to knock it out, I could just Mal for Puzzle and bring it back. The game will be over very, very quickly. But yeah, that's kind of greedy thought process as well, because I did manage to pull it off. And yeah, his hand bricked at the last possible turn, I think. He used artillery on his last turn for a Lysanroc and an energy, I think. Draw 2 cards. And then his hand was double Lysanroc and 3 energies. He had absolutely nothing. While he needed a Guzma and a Max Elixir. He needed some kind of miracle to come back. So at that point, I was pretty comfortable I was going to win before I drew the puzzles, because I already had Guzma in hand and 2 attackers. So my original game plan was to just Guzma the Buzzwole with 2 energies and hit it. And from there, you couldn't really do much. Because you can't attack with it again. That will be a straight loss, because I already have 2 attackers in field. So you can't really use it anymore. So then you have to manually retreat into something else. But then you don't put enough pressure to do anything again.
Mm-hmm.
And if you manage to hit the max elixir on, say, Pseudo Voodoo and take a knockout, it'll be very easy to knock out that as well. And then you won't have anything to back it up again.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt the game was pretty much all set and done, but using trade for my last 2 puzzles in deck on 2 cards was pretty insane and crazy way to finish the series.
Sure.
And my heart definitely pumped when I saw these 2 cards. I even struggled to draw in the last turn of the game because I was pretty hyped and knew the game was almost over. I really stumbled to draw and like flip them over. So one of the puzzles hit the table.
Yeah.
But the other card was also a puzzle, so that was the cool thing.
Yeah.
I felt very fortunate there because then the game will just be over and we'll have to struggle anymore. Just put down the puzzles and take the game. Was
like you said, I think you would have won that game regardless, but it's pretty crazy to... I think you had 15-ish cards in deck, and then just trade draws the last 2 puzzles at a time. Like, that's pretty wild, and gets you that win. 3rd international championship.
Definitely super crazy. I think it was even more than 15 as well. It was...
Oh, was it? Okay.
Felt like a pretty good stack of cards. It was just extremely lucky.
Well, it worked out. You got the 2 puzzles. You got the DC, the Choice Band, the Guzma, the whole combo, Secret Spring, kill a Buzzwole with 2 energies on it, and there you go, International Championship number 3. And congratulations, Tord. Like, it's just an unparalleled accomplishment. Super well done on your part. I know that this conversation has been had a lot this week. People have been talking about top players of all time, and I think your name has been in the conversation for a while. And now, after getting 3 international wins back to back, I think people are starting to put your name higher and higher up on the list. Where do you think your name belongs on that list?
I have honestly no clue. Don't really care too much, and I don't feel like it's my place to say anyway.
Sure.
So I just try to play my best at every tournament I go to, and I don't try to compare myself to anyone else than myself. So if I do something wrong, like I did in top 4, I kick myself for it. Mm-hmm. And I just try to improve every time I play. And every time I make a new deck or go to a new tournament, I try to do things better. Because playing 100% optimal in Pokemon is almost an utopia. It's basically not happening. So, but I strive after that goal, and I try to be as close to it as possible. And that gives me my accomplishment feeling, this satisfying feeling.
Sure.
When I'm almost there.
Well, looking forward, I know you have a regionals this weekend coming up. Is this a deck that you're considering with Ultra Prism Legal?
I haven't gotten too much time to test. All my power and energy went into this international, and
sure.
So I'm very satisfied with my choice of putting all my time and effort into Australia. But now I have like no clue what I want to play for this regional, and I really wish I had something going, but I have done way too little testing compared to what I want to do. So it will probably be something pretty spicy again, and
okay.
for sure not too tested. So it can definitely go very wrong this weekend, but. I honestly don't care too much after what happened at Australia. I'm more than satisfied, and I think I will be more than satisfied for years with what my accomplishments has. Yeah.
Yeah, this puts you well over 1,000 championship points now, and locked for top 22 certainly, and if you keep playing throughout the year, you'll probably be locked for top 4 as well, getting the extra travel stipends to the internationals and stuff. So I know that's definitely an exciting, good feeling. So
yeah, I think I'm pretty locked for top 4 for well, the rest of the year. Honestly,
yeah,
should be, even if I don't get any more points, just have an absurd amount of CPU right now.
It's a lot of points for sure. So yeah, I guess that's that covers just about everything I wanted to ask you. I guess I'll ask about this deck specifically for people who may want to consider this deck for the standard regionals in the U.S. or in Europe this weekend. What changes do you think you would make for the deck heading forward, like adding cards from Ultra Prism, or just looking back on the tournament in general? Is there anything you wish you had in the deck?
I always wished I had a second max portion, because the max portion is really nice. Just overall, you have so many resources anyway. So, and almost all your attackers are 1 energy attackers, or all of them are. You just can stack more energy on some of them.
Sure.
So the max portion is always very, very nice. It's good against almost every matchup. You don't really need more than 1 against Bustrock, and we almost only played against Bustrock, so 1 was completely fine, but a second will be very good. The Ultra Prism has some cards that gives this deck a lot of trouble. So
Okay.
with the Metal Pokemon that can one-shots and discard their energy, you don't really have, you can't really do much, right? Because if they get rolling, you pretty much just lose. They take 4 prizes and you take 2 if you're lucky, and yeah, and Glaceon just locks everything down. You try to use Secret Spring, your trades, like your whole engine just dies. Dies completely off. So you need to fix the problem with the metal Pokemon. Maybe add Clefairy or something. It doesn't seem like a super good solution, but maybe. And you need to do something about your engine. So you should probably add more supporters, so you don't brick completely against Glaceon every time.
Sure.
But if you do all of this, I don't know how you can fit it, and I don't know if it's worth it or if you should just play something else.
Sure.
So I'm really uncertain. I haven't tried to adjust for it yet because I'm still sick. Just got home and haven't had much time. So.
Sure. Well, I really do once again appreciate you taking time to come on and do this interview. It's been great talking to you. Getting to pick your brain and learn about your tournament and learning about the way that you think about the way you approach games and stuff. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. It was fun being here.
Absolutely. I'll give you a second here if you want to do any shout-outs, any sort of social media plugs, anything like that. You have a few minutes here. The floor is yours.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, toward Reklev. That's basically it. And shout out to 8-Bit Planet, Team Limitless, and all my friends and all the people sending me very nice and cool messages. I really appreciate it. All your support, and yeah, just that's what drives me. I wouldn't have played the tournament sick if I knew that. If I didn't know that a lot of people were rooting for me and really wanted me to do well, so I fought it out for not only myself but for everyone cheering for me. So it means a lot to me, really.
Awesome. Well, thanks once again, Tord. Guys, be sure to check out Tord on Twitter. I'll leave a link to that in the description. And thanks again, and congratulations once again, Tord.
Thank you.
Guys, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Be sure to, all those things are at Trainer Chip. Also, be sure to drop a like down below if you enjoyed hearing from Tord. Be sure to subscribe if you have not yet, and that is going to do it for us. For myself and Tord, we are going to get out of here, and until next time, guys, take care.